Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of Multiplayer, the podcast by Gamers for Gamers, episode 61. We're getting up there now, guys. We're old men. We're almost, the podcast is almost retirement age, and it's going to have like a nice life in Florida.
Gonna get our AARP card in the mail.
All right, let me get some introductions out of the way. There's myself, the host, Zach Matscanis. Hello, and of course we have the lover boy himself, Javier Ortiz.
Yo, what's up?
Howdy. And of course, I haven't thought of a good nickname for you. I don't know why I started calling Jav the lover boy, by the way, but I like it. So until I think of a good nickname, just Joseph Rue.
What's up, my good friends?
And remember, Multiplayer is all over the place, in your ears and in your face. You can check us out at youtube.com/multiplayer. We're also on podcast services all over the internet. So, YouTube Google, whatever that one is anymore. I always forget. It's like just Google Podcast now or something. iTunes.
I don't know. They recently changed it.
Yeah, I remember.
I forget what it's called.
I keep forgetting the name of it, but Spotify, Stitcher, all that fun stuff. So, like, subscribe. You can watch our ugly mugs. You can listen to us with your earballs, all that fun stuff. So, yeah, guys, let's.
Where's Kahan?
That jabroni, I don't know what he's up to today. Yeah, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll just call it on my phone." I was like, "Nah, dog,
idiot."
you think I want your nasty phone audio, like just crowding up the place? Last week his audio, it was like a mess already. I'm not trying to get into the his telephone, audio. For anybody listening last week, I'm so sorry. A quick story: Kahan's audio was just hot garbage. I had a conversation with him. I think,
like him.
Yeah, hot garbage, just like himself. He had like plugged in his like effects board or something, and so the audio he sent me was like hot trash. It had.
Oh, that's right. He did do that. That was the Halloween one, right?
Yeah, it was the Halloween one. It was his. I felt like his audio was just like haunted because, it was. I didn't know what I was trying to edit that episode, and he was like wildly out of sync with the rest of us. Peek behind the curtains. We record all of our audio separately and our video. We do like a screen capture thing and sync it all in post. And his audio, it would be in sync for like a minute, and then just be several minutes like not in sync anymore. And I think what was happening was like it was going through his effects board, and anytime he was talking, it would record, and anytime he wasn't talking, it wouldn't record. And so it just like kept putting his recordings like back to back. But then like if he was like breathing, sometimes it would pick it up. So it literally took me like 4 hours to like clean up his audio. Plus it was like peaking like mad, and it was real choppy. So sorry for anybody listening last week. We have fired that man. He will never be back.
we killed him.
Yeah, he's like out on the street corner with like a sign like, "We'll record podcast for food or something." But anyways, how about we get into a show and stop talking about Kahan and his
I don't want to waste more time.
Audio. Yeah, that's way more time than waste on that man. But anyways, so 2 weeks ago we had a pretty heavy Xbox episode with Phil Spencer, the man, the myth, the legend, kind of talking to, oh gosh, I can't even remember anymore who he's talking to. Kotaku, that's who it was. Basically about the future of Xbox and what's going on. So this week I wanted to kind of do something similar with Sony. Jim Ryan, with Sony, he basically I'm trying to remember his role now. He's the president of like Sony.
That's it. Just the president of Sony.
President of Sony. I'm trying to remember his. Oh
PlayStation
gosh.
CEO.
Yeah, I think that's it.
PlayStation CEO or GEO.
didn't do my homework because he just got a promotion not too long ago. So I'm mixing up the titles.
PlayStation CEO.
Great.
President and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
So Jim Ryan did an interview with the Washington Post, kind of doing something similar to Phil Spencer, where he's basically talking about the future of PlayStation and what that means to him, and kind of their thoughts and ideas, kind of moving into the future, as well as the launch of the PS5 coming up, and kind of the complications with like COVID and whatnot. So he goes into a lot of different things, but there's like a few key things that he talks about that I want to get into. First off is things like haptic feedback. And before we get into that actual interview, I wanted to talk about this little PlayStation 5 controller I got in my hands here for them YouTube peeps out there.
How futuristic that is.
If you want to see some pretty pictures, I put some on our Instagram at Go Multiplayer, so you can check that out, along with like a picture of me like holding it and like being silly. So I was hoping when I got this controller, I promise we'll get back to Jim Ryan in a minute. So when I got this controller, I was hoping I could plug it into the PS4 and fiddle with some stuff. I knew I wasn't going to get the haptic feedback, but I was hoping to at least do something with it, and it just does not want to work. So I'm still researching how I can hack the system and get this working on my PS4, because I'd love to do that. Apparently it works with Androids and PCs, which I still need to fiddle with. So I'll report back next week on.
Did he cut off?
Very nice triggers. Huh?
You just cut off, by the way.
Yeah, you cut off a little bit there.
Yeah, can you say what you said again?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I was just saying the controller feels great in my hands. It has a nice matte finish on the backside that like you can really grip this thing, and like it feels really good to hold. I think the buttons are a little mushy, but we'll see if there's a little mushy, and that's kind of my one gripe. But overall, I think it still feels pretty good. I think once I'm in the action of a game, the mushiness I probably won't. It won't bother me. Mushy buttons. But the D-pad sound is a lot more clicky.
Nice.
That's good.
And the last thing I didn't know, but so the matte, basically on the back of the handles, this like matte finish. You can't see it, when I hold it up here, but if you look at like really close up pictures of this online, the matte finish on the back, it's like little tiny triangles and crosses and O's and squares in like a really cool design. It's like, but they're like microscopic. You have to have like a macro lens to see it, but it's like such a nice touch. Nice. I recommend checking it out.
I wonder if that was a very practical design to do, but it's a cool little Easter egg, but I wonder if that like cost them more money just to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you literally can't see it just staring at it. Like you have to really have like a nice close up like macro lens to see.
That's pretty cool.
A magnifying glass.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so yeah, just basically I wanted to talk about like the haptic feedback that Jim Ryan talks about, as well as 3D audio. So basically, Jim Ryan discusses the immersion capabilities of the PS5 between haptic feedback and 3D audio. And he kind of makes a good case for the importance of those and the future of gaming. So I wanted to get your thoughts on, all of this, and if it's like a gimmick or if you also feel like it's a future of gaming. There's a quote from this article from the Washington Post. Does somebody want to read this quote?
I feel like I'm in 8th grade all over again. Who would like to read
some popcorn reading?
Bob, wake up!
All right, I'll read it, and then I'm gonna give a little response to what you're talking about. Okay, so immersiveness has definitely been one of the mega trends in the gaming industry over the last 10 years or so, said PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan in a broad-ranging interview with the Washington Post. I think platform-level features like the ones you'd see, such as 3D audio and haptic feedback, being put in the hands of a great game developer are going to allow this phenomenon of immersiveness to be taken to the next level. I think you're going to see something really powerful and really transformational quite quickly, and that impact will grow over the life of the platform. So I don't think this is a gimmick at all. I think this is super, super cool, and it leads to a really bright future for better immersion into games and stuff. Just imagine, like, right now, I think one of the best examples would be, like, if you were to take Resident Evil 7, most recent one, and if you put, like, really good 3D audio and the whole haptic feedback stuff into that, I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to finish the game because it'd be so scary,
Plus you got VR on top of it, which we'll get into later as well.
Exactly. That's the other thing. So like,
damn.
doing this, especially for like a horror game, right? 3D audio in a horror game would be, I think, fantastic. And like for example, like last week you mentioned Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. And the sound design in that game, I think, is perfection. Like, it's one of the best sound designs in a video game that I've ever experienced. And now imagine that with, like, if they up the ante with 3D audio and haptic feedback. That game, they literally had people having, like, when they recorded, they used a 3D microphone, and they had people going around it, like, as they're talking. So it sounds like voices are always, like, swirling in your head, especially if you're playing with headphones. So
interesting.
Yeah, so imagining upgrading, like, technological wise, upgrading that experience, I mean, it would be amazing, like, and I think it plays really well, I think, to a horror game, but it would also do really well for, like, different types of FPS games. I think if you were to do that with, like, Call of Duty or Doom, being able to hear, like, a war zone, to me, is like an experience that we've never really known. Like, obviously none of us have been in war, and hopefully we never will have to, but like, that experience to just be like, imagine you just have, like, explosions back here and, like, gunfire up here, and you just hear, like, stomping because people are running, all that type of sound design. It's really incredible, and I think it always goes underappreciated, especially like movies and games and stuff, because we're visual creatures, right? We human beings, we're all about eyesight right now, and sound design kind of gets put on the back burner. But, like, if you really think about it, like, if a game doesn't have good sound design, it just feels kind of flat. You can see stuff, but everything else is just, like, you're not really feeling anything. But to have, like, having really great sound design, it's a whole nother level of immersion. And then the haptic feedback as well would be so cool, especially because if you can feel, like, a recoil of, like, a gun or something, right, in the triggers, or like you said earlier, like a bow and arrow, you can feel, like, the string being taut, and you can, like, feel kind of the pressure on the triggers of the controller. Like, it's just, it leads to a really, really bright future. And, obviously I think the next step of that is VR, which we'll get into later. But, like, right now, I don't think this is a gimmick at all. And I can't wait to experience it, like, 4 years into the PS5's life cycle, like, being able to hear all that and feel all that with the controller. And then hopefully those PS5 headphones, can do it justice. And then I'm sure there's going to be third-party, like, headphones that'll also, like, up the ante with that as well, which, who knows, maybe there will be better headphones, like, that aren't, like, Sony brand in a few years for the PS5 and are capable of, like, really utilizing all those features. Because, I think at the beginning of a console's life cycle, like, they throw out all these fancy words because they want to make it sound new and different, and they want to make sales. But I think it's really, like, a few years into that console where developers and the people, making the games and stuff, they can really hone in on those capabilities, and then they can really, like, exploit them for, their true purpose. And so, like I say, give it, like, 2 or 3 years, and then you'll really get some really great games that really take advantage of the 3D audio and haptic feedback. So I like I said, I don't think it's a gimmick at all. I think it's a great feature, and like it leads well to immersing, you know, gamers more into not just the game, but like all the different genres it'll offer. It'll make horror games that much better, or like first person shooters that much better. You know, it can make a narrative driven game. Like imagine God of War. God of War is already a fantastic sound design game.
Yeah, it really is. With like throwing the hammer.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's already beautifully designed, but like again, it's just upping that ante. And we're talking about games that are like old. Well, not old, but you know, they came out a few years ago. So just imagine like going forward, you know, like
the new
games
that are gonna come out.
Yeah,
they have a lot of potential for sure. Yeah,
exactly. So it makes me kind of like that God of War sequel. It's probably going to be incredible to listen to it just listening probably would be amazing. And like, you know, it makes me wish that like a game like Cyberpunk would come out later in the life cycle, you know, but I'm sure it'll still be fantastic.
Well, if it keeps getting pushed, that might happen.
Yeah, that too. It's so weird that it got pushed too. Like it got pushed like a month, I think. Like
yeah, they're just, you know, I think the COVID's just making them struggle a bit.
Yeah, yeah. Because you know that's not like game relating. It's more like production, I guess.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. But,
like
anyways, good thoughts there, Joe. Do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
Yeah, no, I think Hav. I like Hav's, let's say, optimism for the technology. I definitely think he's entirely in the realm of like being absolutely correct that like you know, the technology will get better. It'll make the experience much more enjoyable and much more realistic. Which is, you know, at the end of the day, it's like it's almost as if like what video games have been kind of striving for, right? Is to get the sense of realism while also adding on to whatever imagination they want to, you know, expand on, right? You know, but what I am skeptical about is the fact that this CEO is making a big emphasis on this immersion experience, which is really cool, right? I think that's a very important aspect of video game gameplay that, you know, it's good for like a developer to focus on. But what I keep thinking about is, all right, so you just introduced this PS5 controller compared to the. I don't know any technical differences between the PS5 controller and the PS4 controller. You explained, they're adding like these little, you know, these micro decisions, like such as making the trigger more, you know, adaptable to like gameplay. Or maybe like the rumble features are a lot more you know, diverse, right? It's like, you know how like an iPhone like now like the vibrations are like their own ringtone. You know what I mean? Like there's different vibrations.
Like fine-tuned.
Yeah, it's like fine. I can see like that being like that kind of tech being involved now. But I keep thinking about like, okay, so what was so different about the PS3 into the PS4, right? So when the PS4 came out, I'm sure the marketing was very much the same. They're advertising all these new stuff, these new tech that the PS4 was going to be like compared to the PS3, right? PS4 comes out, I see the controller for the first time, and I'm like, wow, very dope looking controller, very sleek, this is very cool, right? It's even got this little touchpad thing, right? And I never thought that was so cool. But then, now we're entering PS5 era. Looking back, that PS4 controller was literally no different from the PS3. You know what I mean? Maybe the battery life was better. Maybe it was more comfortable. But like all that tech stuff, they were all those little flashy little gimmicks they were trying to advertise, when it first came out, nothing really came from it at all in this current lifespan of PS4. Right? So the PS5 now coming out, they're doing the same. They're marketing the same stuff, right? Maybe a little bit new tech. My point is, I'm just a little skeptical to see, like, how if they're actually going to deliver. Because right now it's all talk, right, which is expected. But like, will they deliver in these promises? And will it be like, will it actually be practical? Will it actually be like, will the fans actually like expect more out of this? You know, I'm not sure. You know, but do you get my point? Like I see the potential. You know, I see like how important it'll be and how much it'll like change gameplay or make it just that much better. But you know, part of me thinks like, all right, PS5 games are probably not going to be that much different from PS4, which weren't going to be that much different from PS3. So as far as I'm concerned, the change is subtle, but but it's not a lot, you know. That's
Which
what
is
I
kind
think.
of yeah, and that's kind of the point I wanted to sort of get to as well. So it's Sony, every generation they I'm just gonna kind of call them gimmicks for better or worse there, but yeah, they'll basically have something at the start of the console life cycle. It's like, check this new bell and whistle out. For the PS3, they had the dual axis controller. So the dual axis, it basically had motion control inside the controller,
Okay.
and it's like the first wave of games in the first year used it a little bit. It's like the what's it called,
Uncharted.
Yeah, Uncharted 1.
Yep.
There's like one log that you have to walk across. So you're like holding the controller and you're like, whoa, like trying to like balance on this stupid log. And then like, the collection came out later and they just got rid of all that nonsense. And it was just like, because it just wasn't needed. And it was like a feature in a controller that was like odd and unnecessary. Like, they were showing it off with, I think, maybe it was Warhawk. I want to say it was Warhawk, but you're like flying a plane and you can kind of tilt the controller and stuff. It's like all this stuff's dumb. Like nobody wants like silly motion controls in their games. They want to control the games with their own fingers and joysticks and buttons.
Playing that for the first time, that Uncharted thing, and I was like, this feels like a studio note where like someone at Sony's like, hey, Doug, you gotta do this thing somehow. We really we wanted to show it off. You gotta implement it somehow. And they're like, I
can totally see that too. Yeah, I can totally see that conversation happening. Be like, what?
Yeah,
like we already made the game.
100% like how that went for sure. And then obviously Uncharted 3 come, Uncharted 2 and 3 come out in the PS3 and like don't have any of that garbage.
They don't have any
none
of
of
that.
Yeah. After the first year, they kind of ditched the six-axis features, and I think in they always kept that feature. They just added rumble because the first 6-axis controllers did not have rumble in it. Because they couldn't figure out how it wouldn't interfere with the the motion control stuff, but then they finally figured it out and baked it in. But so when the PS4 came out, they just had the
touchscreen thing. That little touchpad or whatever.
PS4 had basically the touchpad, and it had the light bar on the front. So you could basically do they kind of ditched like the 6-axis thing for the whole light bar. Basically, Wiimote style, like you can move things around on the screen and all that's, once again, it's like, like who cares?
Yeah. It's a cool idea, I guess, but like who uses that?
One of the most annoying things was on the PS4 that I saw was like, it was like one of the first times on their shop, the PSN store, where it was like you type in what you want. It was like, use the touchpad to like go to the letter, and I'm like, no, that's like, and it's so
not even good. It doesn't feel like a Mac, like on a MacBook. Like that's like as seamless as it gets, probably like probably the most advanced touchpad, right?
Like on a phone, you can like, if you're texting, you can like slide to the letters and it forms the words, and it was not. That's
like that's the kind of expectation we have now in terms of like touch technology, and they couldn't even match that. It felt like it was something from like 1998, at least like the way it was interacting.
Yeah, it's like stuff like that. It's like, I get it, but just like stop.
Now you're just wasting. Yeah, you're just wasting hardware at that point. Like it's just dumb. Yeah. So,
but so you basically had those PS4 features that, once again, the first year you had things like infamous Second Son, I think it was. Yeah, Second Son, that one of the first games that kind of came out for that system that is like using some of those features. And after that first year, they kind of ditched it all again. And with the PS5, I hope that this stuff kind of sticks around a little longer. I think they're finally at the point where the stuff that they are trying to implement are actually interesting features, interesting like things that could actually be implemented into a game. And I hope that they do a little more than, with the Switch that came out, you had the HD Rumble that was kind of used with like 1-2 Switch and a couple other games, but feel like is like underutilized by a lot. And
I remember that conference they were talking about like it'll feel like cold, like an ice cube or something.
Yeah, like ice cubes are.
Yeah.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
That's
the
so
Nintendo,
interesting.
like show is so weird.
Yeah. But I'm hoping with the PS5 they lean into this a little more because it's something that could add some like immersion to games that would be interesting. You know,
I think this is one of like those tools that a developer looks at and is like, this is actually something useful. Like I think it's incredibly useful.
Yeah, and I think about some of the things that could be used, especially with the haptic triggers. I think that's definitely interesting with things like they've discussed like drawing a bow, and so I think about Last of Us, Part 3 whenever that comes out, or oh gosh, I'm like blanking on other games now.
What other game uses a bow?
Like Horizon, that game, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that game uses a bow.
Completely drawing a blank on Horizon. Yeah,
I
so
know.
I guess L uses it in Last of Us a little bit, but just like stuff like that. Yeah.
So I think about stuff like Horizon or Last of Us, and like drawing a bow would be amazing.
Or something as simple as like somehow simulating like a small recoil on like a gun would be like next level.
Yeah.
That would be really cool if you can somehow. It wouldn't break a controller, but like maybe just a little like you could just feel your controller like kind of push back a bit somehow.
Imagine there's like a scene where it's like you're playing the game and it's like you got to disarm a bomb and you got to cut the wire and it's like the controller's like, are you sure you want to cut this one? And you're like, I don't know, and it's like really hard to do that.
Or it's like something interesting you could do in a game like The Last of Us would be a pretty great fit is like if your gun like jams or locks up or something.
And you can't like press the trigger. That would be you'd be like, what the? That would make me look at my controller. I'd be like, what the heck?
Yeah, this is getting into like kind of like meta stuff, like in Metal Gear, like when it like it told you about like your other controller and stuff, and like I think there's another game that like it messed with it. It looked as if like the volume was going up on your TV.
Well, that was
what I'm talking about.
That's what I was talking about last week. Eternal Darkness.
Yeah. Eternal Darkness. Yeah, where it looks like the volume is going up.
Yeah,
Like, wait, what? So like this is getting into that kind of realm,
like
where
breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah,
kind of.
If controllers are responding, you're like, what?
Kojima's,
why isn't this working?
Kojima's gonna love these features.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely I could see people really taking these features in the controller and kind of running with them and having a little more fun, at least the first party studios for Sony. I can't speak to like Ubisoft and stuff. They might phone it in a little more, but I could definitely see like Naughty Dog and Insomniac who loves like gadgets and toys anyways, to kind of
oh my god, I can't wait for the Ratchet and Clank game.
Like
exactly,
good games. Yeah
and so definitely that, and then 3D audio and kind of their focus on audio this time around I think is great because I've read, I don't have any quotes in front of me, but I've read several articles with like developers that have basically said audio in games hasn't changed in a long time. Like, as graphics evolve, like the audio capabilities have kind of stayed the same, other than like the fact that you can shove more data into a game, like like 40 gigs of audio versus like the old days. But other than that, like it hasn't evolved too much. So the capability of like really going wild with the audio is exciting for me, to the point that like I bought those PlayStation 5 headphones. I just bought a pair of headphones like a year ago. And I was just so excited for like the things that PlayStation is talking about with the PS5 and the 3D audio, that I was like, I really want to experience this. So actually I bought those, and I'm actually pretty excited to see like what they can do with that. So I'm gonna try and I'm gonna try them out on my PS4 and report back next week. I'm gonna put in like The Last of Us Part 2 to see if I can get it to simulate anything better than my old headphones. So stay tuned for a discussion on that. But overall, like immersion in games, I think obviously is super important. And you know, kind of on the topic of immersion, I wanted to kind of get into just very quickly, you know, so Jim Ryan's sort of talking about PlayStation VR as well. And basically, well, tell you what, Hav, you want to read this next quote from Jim Ryan?
Sure, teacher. I think we're more than a few minutes from the future of VR. PlayStation believes in VR, Sony believes in VR, and we definitely believe at some point in the future, VR will represent a meaningful component of interactive entertainment. Will it be this year? No. Will it be next year? No. But will it come at some stage? We believe that. And we're very pleased with all the experience that we've gained with PlayStation VR, and we look forward to seeing where that takes us in the future.
Yeah, so basically with that quote, you know, Jim Ryan's basically just saying like, yeah, you know, it was fun, you know, making PlayStation VR. We tried it.
Didn't sell that well.
Yeah, you know, I think it was less than 5 million units, I believe, or something around there.
So I think I just pulled up like as of, I think I closed it. As of December 31st, 2019, PlayStation VR has sold through 5 million units.
Dang, how long? When did it come out? Like 2017?
Yeah, 2016, something in there.
I think so.
So 2 or 3 years and only 5 million. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, in comparison to, you know, like PlayStation 4, that's like 100 million units.
Yeah,
really.
It's kind of an understatement.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, it sounds like Jim Ryan's like, we're not thinking about it right now. We're thinking about PlayStation 5 and building that, you know, building that, you know, that console install base and all that. So, you know, they're just focused on that, and maybe in a few years they'll get back to like a PlayStation VR 2. So basically, what I wanted to kind of ask you two was, you know, have you really cared about VR up until this point, PlayStation or otherwise? You know, Valve just came out with the Oculus Go 2 or whatever that one is, and so, you know, there's some different VR helmets out there on the market, and, you know, is it something you've dabbled in at all? Do you care? Do you want PlayStation to do a VR 2? You know, PlayStation VR 2.
This is actually a moment where I wish Kehan was here, because he would have a lot to say about VR.
Yeah, he does.
Personally, no, for me. Just to all of it. I just don't think the tech is here yet.
Yeah.
For at home like VR, like it exists, like, you know, in like those tech demo rooms at Google or whatever. Yeah, they've got some really good setups, but like for at home, for the price and the space that you would need to actually have a legit, like, good, like a really good VR experience.
Yeah.
It's just out of the reach of, I would say, like, I consider myself like an average normal person, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's just out of reach where it's like, I don't have the spending money or the space to like invest in a legit VR setup. Mm-hmm. PSVR, I think the bang for your buck, I thought it was a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm. Around $300.
Yeah, like it's not that bad, and it doesn't take up that much room. It's relatively small-ish, but it's just like the experience that you could get through it. I think like the Arkham VR was pretty popular. But I don't really know too much about like the games it offered, mainly because I just don't really have much experience with it. But I just, VR is still such in like its infancy. I think it's smart to not prioritize it right now, and prioritize, like, if you're launching a new console, like focusing on that. And maybe down the line in the console's life cycle, you can introduce like the VR2 or 2.0 or whatever they want to call it. Because this one came out in the PS4's life cycle, what, like 5 years in? Something like that? Or 4 years in? Because when PS3 came out, what, 2012? 2013?
PS3?
Or PS4, sorry, PS4.
PS4, I can't remember. I think around...
So PlayStation 4 came out.
I think that came out in college. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like 3-4 years into its life cycle, they introduced the VR, which is great to like
2 years. It came out October 2016.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 years into it, and it just, I don't know. It's like I just don't think the technology's here yet for at home VR for a reasonable price. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's something where I personally, if I wanted VR, which I would love to have someday, I would need like a separate room for that setup. You know what I mean?
Like a game room?
yeah, nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would like a separate space for that because it's all about like total immersion, right? So like I would want.
What if it's like Black Mirror kind of VR? You like put like a thing on your brain and you go in like a Matrix. And then like, that's like VR. You know what I mean?
I'm not talking about like 200 years from now, that kind of technology. What we have now.
Like in the next 5 years. Yeah, I get you.
I just I think it's cool, but I think it's also smart for them to be like, all right, we kind of tested the waters, and maybe it's not really at that stage where like the mainstream at home console people are gonna pick it up. Because it seems more something for like people who are like really into it, they'll pick it up. But like for the average Joe Schmo, it's not really something they'll be interested in. Which I think it's totally understandable. Because again, I think VR is still it's in its infancy. It's not something that's widely available for a lot of people, especially right now. Because like it would be cool. Like I know they have some like VR arcades, which is a great way to experience it. But right now, that's obviously not possible for a lot of places. So it's kind of a setback for the industry in general. But I don't know. I think it's still years away from being like an at-home normal consumer thing,
Yeah. At least on like a wide scale, obviously like 5 million units is still like, that's 5 million people in the world. Like with just the PlayStation VR, then there's like all the other VR headsets out there. So, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but
there's definitely already a big interest in it for sure. Yeah.
But Joe, let me get your thoughts on this as well.
I'm most likely on the same boat as Hav in terms of like my personal interest to VR. I actually think that this goes beyond video games, but I just think VR technology is in itself very like how do I put this? It's very like scary thing to think about, right? Because at least for how I perceive VR, the technology goes beyond video games. It can go very well into like Matrix level kind of stuff. That's how I like to perceive it. And this is just like the very infancy. But despite the fears of the VR technology in the video game industry, my problem with VR is that just like most video games, it's just right now it's just like too much hardware. It's too like bulky. It literally feels like no one wants to feel like they're wearing a helmet. You know what I mean? When they're like playing a video game, and it feels like worse than a helmet. It's like very heavy goggles. You know what I mean? Which is like weird. Yeah. So I can see like maybe to the point where it becomes like glasses, right? That'll be like that'll be much sleeker. But it's not. Like for most gamers that I know, it's a leisure activity. As fun as DDR and Rock Band and stuff were, these are just extra bulky things that like no one ever really got past like a couple years of playing these games. Like I'm sure there are still a couple people that play DDR and stuff, but I imagine it's kind of the same thing. So I can see VR being very much like say like 3D TVs. Remember how big of a deal 3D TVs were?
Yeah.
Everyone did it, and then everyone quickly realized how stupid of an idea that was, right? Because they're like,
that was another big Sony push, was like 3D TVs and games that supported 3D TVs.
So props to Sony's marketing team for trying to like push the envelope on these new industries, but leave it to them to come up with these dumb ideas, right? Also, but I can also see VR very much becoming like a thing that like my grandkids will like, like that's like their switches or like their phones, right? They'll hang out with like their friends and stuff on like these VR. Like they'll like hang out in like Hyrule like you know what I mean, together, or like they'll like hang out and they'll like play. They'll play like Warzone together and stuff like that. Which is just like, you know, that kind of future is unimaginable to me right now. But very much so that VR is in the realm of either becoming the next 3D television phase or the next the next gen video game platforms, which is like, you know, I really don't know. I personally am very scared of it, right? Because I like being in my reality as much as I like to like escape it sometimes through video games, right? Like that, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a little bit more conservative in that aspect for now, right? I'm more of kind of like a sit down in front of a TV kind of guy or a computer screen. But
and I think, you know, a lot of people are, and, you know, I totally agree with you guys. Like, you know, I think VR is definitely still in its infancy and probably will be for a little while, you know, until we can get to a point where it's like the headset by itself is powerful enough to run things and not have to plug up to like a PS5 or a PC or something. As well as just being lightweight, cordless. You know, it could just sit in a charging dock and then you could put it on your head for, you know, 12 hours at a time or whatever. Right. And there's nothing else. Like until we get to that point, you know, I think it'll kind of still be kind of a less popular than like a traditional console, you know?
Yeah. And can you imagine like you said, like, so immersion right now is going to be, it's almost like for VR technology to really get to the stage that we're all imagining what we want it to be. Immersion, the haptic immersion, whatever, feedback and stuff, all this stuff, that is not only like a thing we're trying to, that developers want to do, but it's almost like necessary if you really, really want to see this VR future like take place. And I can just imagine like that'd be beautiful for like a lot of like some people, like say, dude, like imagine if you're like paralyzed or something, God forbid, right? Or you can't walk or something, or like, and you just plug in like a video game and now all of a sudden you can like run freely, you can fly and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that would
Professor
be
X.
Yeah, straight up, right? Like it would. I can see like I can see it almost be like therapeutic in that aspect. You know what I mean? Like if the technology can get that good.
VR capabilities are good. They go far beyond just like gaming experiences. Like
or you go put people in like a personal hell. I don't know, dude. That's a scary thing about that's a scary thing about like, you know what I mean? Like just like virtual reality. Like it's, you know, are we in a simulation now? Like, dude, I can go on about this. You know, all that stuff, dude.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
We'll save that conversation for maybe a bonus episode one day.
That'll be the conspiracy theory episode.
But anyways, you know, we're kind of running long and all this. I definitely want to move on, but yeah, overall, you know, I totally agree with you guys, and eventually, I'm gonna kind of jump into, you know, VR a little more than I am right now. I'm also kind of waiting for the technology to kind of get better. And this is like one of those things where, you know, at the top of the show where I'm like, this podcast by gamers for gamers. And if you're always like, what the hell does that man mean? I mean, like, you know, it's like, we're just like, you know, pretty normal guys where it's like, we're not just working for a gaming company, just getting this stuff like shipped to us. And we have like special rooms that we can, you know, play these games. So it's like, you know, it's the purchase got to be worth it. You know, the PS5, even at launch, is worth it to me. But like a VR headset, it's not worth the price of admission right now.
What about that thing? Have you heard about that thing in like where like it's like a warehouse and they give you like VR goggles and then you like go through this warehouse maze, but it's like a zombie game. So in the virtual reality, it's like you're shooting zombies, but you're doing it in a warehouse. So it feels like you're actually in this game. That seems more practical, yeah. Yeah,
and you know, I would totally be down for that once you know, all these the COVID cooties are taken.
Yeah, exactly. That's more like a social out event, yeah. Not practical in home setting.
But so anyways, I want to kind of move on, and I want to stop looking at the future and I want to look at the past. And you see that segue there? That was great. I'm getting good at this hosting thing. 61 episodes in and doing okay. So we there's a game coming out November 10th that is a remake of the game 13. And that's spelled XIII, like the Roman numerals. And this is a game that came out in 2003, and I at the time, it didn't sell very well, but it's kind of got this like cult classic following now of just like a small audience of people like myself that sort of played it and fell in love with this game. And it's coming out, like I said, November 10th, and it's just like nobody's talking about this game, and it's been bugging me. It's just like, man, I really wish more people would take a look at this game. And so I wanted to kind of talk about it. Shut up, Joe. So I wanted to kind of talk about this game a little bit, just because I wanted to shine a little light on it. So, this game, like I said, came out in 2003 for the PS2, came out for the original Xbox, and it came out for the GameCube, which is where I played it. And it's based off a Belgian graphic novel of the same name from the 80s, and it's really interesting. It's a really interesting comic, and kind of the game just follows like the first 5 volumes in the comic book series, and it's super cool. It's kind of like the Bourne Identity a little bit, where it's like you wake up on a beach and you have amnesia and you don't know like who you are, why you're there, but people are already like trying to kill you, and you're like running for your life, and pretty much like all you know is like you have a tattoo on you with those Roman numerals, and you have a key to a bank lockbox. That's like all that's on you. And so you end up going on this like basically your mission is to figure out who you are and to kind of stop this this secret organization from taking over the U.S. government. And so it's honestly like a super cool game. And David Duchovny plays the main character.
TV star David Duchovny?
Oh yeah, and he's great in it. So David Duchovny's in it. Adam West is in it.
What?
Yeah, Adam West. The man. I know. I miss that man. I love Adam West. And I don't know if maybe you two are too young, but Eve, the rapper, she's also she's also in that game, and she's actually really great too. Plays a character named Jones, and I think the game, like, obviously the story is like super interesting. It's like obviously kind of a mystery the whole way through as you're trying to figure out like who you are and what's going on and like how you kind of tie to this whole situation. And, each mission you can kind of approach things with stealth, or you can kind of go in guns blazing. And, you get like all sorts of like, super cool weapons, from like, pistols to machine guns to like bazookas, and like, so you get a little bit of everything there, but you also get like throwing knives. One of the cool things I always liked in this game was like, if you're like in a gunfight and like a window breaks, you can literally pick up a big shard of glass in the ground and like throw it at people and like hit them in the neck. There's all sorts of like
feature.
Yeah, you could pick up like a broom and like bash people over the head. And it's got this like really cool cell shaded art style, and I've seen like the remake graphics, and it looks beautiful, kind of like Wind Waker did in the remake, where it's like those cell shaded graphics really just hold up when you kind of HD raise those babies. And it would they used a lot of like kind of comic book big like comic book words would pop up on the screen. It would be like bam, and stuff like that.
With
or
Bam Pow?
Oh yeah. Adam West is in there, it's like
shout out.
Or like if you get like a headshot, these like comic book panels kind of pop up that show the headshot from like different angles, and it's just like super cool. I love the game at the time, and this game kind of, it came out in an interesting time for me. So like I said, this game came out in 2003. I was 13 at the time, and before I picked up this game, I had a friend of mine like a good friend of mine who killed himself, and he basically killed himself with his dad's gun. He committed suicide, and obviously, a 13-year-old kid that's like obviously that's you start to think about some things, and things like gun control and all that. It's all stuff you kind of start to think about in a situation like that. And after shut up, Joe.
My
bad. So after that situation happened, my mom, she took me up to GameStop and bought me a game because I think she just thought it would help. and I had never heard of the game 13, but the back of the cover looked kind of cool, so I picked this game up, and there was no like rated M problems in my household, so it's like super mature game, no problem. So I took this game home, and obviously there's like tons and tons of violence in this game, and obviously gun violence. And it was interesting, like this game with a lot of gun violence helped me sort of process this situation that obviously guns were involved. And it's I won't really get into my feelings on like gun control and all that here, but I think it's something that really like helped me through that like whole situation. And obviously I still play like violent video games all the time, and I very much like separate the two things. But I just to this day I kind of find that whole situation interesting, just kind of looking back on it. And it's just like a game with a lot of gun violence helped me get over a situation with gun violence. And
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And obviously it's like you got the stupid people out there. It's like, oh well, that probably happened because he played games with guns in it. It's like, no, there's a difference between gun violence in video games and people with depression and all that. Like I said, I'm not trying to get into any of that stuff here, but so obviously this game, it means something to me, and I haven't played it probably since 2004. And so like this game coming out is kind of just like brought back a lot of these memories. I've been thinking about it a lot, and it's gonna be interesting to play that game again, because like I don't know what like feelings or memories it's going to kind of stir up. So we'll see.
yeah, really.
But I thought it was like just an interesting story to share. And obviously it's like a game that means a lot to me, but I also just think it's like an underrated game that I think more people should play. So check it out.
Nice.
But
sure.
But yeah,
I never played it, but I'll definitely, when it comes out. I think it comes out November 10th, 11th, 10th. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I'll try and pick it up and play through it, because like you said, like earlier, it's kind of like a cult classic now. Because it didn't sell too well, but apparently a lot of people love it. Because I've heard of it before, and like I've seen like images and some videos about it. And it looks really cool. Like the art style is really nice, and that cell shading is really gorgeous to look at. Especially if, like you said, like if you're gonna up-res it to like HD, probably look pretty nice.
Yeah, man. And man, I hope the game, like the remake, sells well, and this company, the developers take a crack at a second game if they have like the license to do it, because
wasn't it an Ubisoft game?
It's published by Ubisoft and developed, and it's like co-developed with Ubisoft Paris and South End Interactive, which is like oh boy, whose sirens are that?
Oh, those are my friends over there.
Those are my friends outside.
Yeah, it's mostly like it's a Swedish-made game by a company called South End Interactive, who basically got after this game and a few others that they produced, 13 kind of being their biggest ones. They sort of got they closed down that studio and kind of got merged into Massive Entertainment, which is another Swedish developer that is kind of like a subsidiary of Ubisoft. So it's all Ubisoft people, and their big game in the last few years is like The Division and the Division 2. So, it's like those guys. So it's like, obviously they're good at like, gunplay and, kind of, games in that territory. So, but then the remake is being done by a different company in Sweden. What's the name of that company again?
IKEA.
Ooh.
IKEA. Instructions are useless.
You have to like build the game yourself. That's ridiculous. But yeah, there's the developers for this is a company called Play Magic Limited, which is like a kind of a newer company in Sweden that's taking a crack at this. So, I don't know what their deal is, and if they kind of are licensing this IP or they bought it. I'm not sure. I couldn't really find much info on that deal, but they're doing the remake, so I hope it does well, and maybe they can take a crack at a second game. That would be pretty cool. But we're running low on time. But I wanted to kind of open the floor since I shared a little personal story and a game kind of tied to it. Just wanted to open it up if you guys had any stories about like a video game that kind of, at some point in your life, it just kind of came at a time where it's like, this game like maybe helped you through something or makes you feel warm and fuzzy about something. So, I just wanted to kind of open that up if there's any stories anybody wants to share.
I mean, definitely not as heavy.
That's okay. It's hard to get heavier.
That I was gonna like, because I was thinking when you originally posed the question like earlier today, I thought to myself, well, it's like something that really brought me a lot of joy and like made me, because I played it, I forget when it came out, but I was really younger. It was the Spider-Man 2 game on my GameCube.
So good.
Based off the movie, yeah, obviously, and it's really good. And like that was the first time like I felt sheer joy because I felt like a superhero in a game. Like I felt like Spider-Man because like that game is just, it's so perfect. Like, and just swinging through New York. I literally spent hours just swinging through New York when I played that game, ignoring people like yelling for help and stuff.
Got up, swinging.
Just like nope. But that really like it brought like a sheer joy to my life. Like I don't remember what year that came out. I want to say like 2004.
Yeah, maybe? Something right in there.
Something 2005. But yeah, that game brought me like so much personal joy. Because I think it was like I might have just been starting high school at the time. But it was like uncomfortable setting, new faces. I don't know anybody. But like going home, like I just felt like super happy and like in the secret world where I got to be a superhero. But yeah, that, and I guess it kind of goes in line with what I said before about my favorite game of all time. Like when I played Mega Man X for the first time as a kid, that like it changed my life because that's the game that made me fall in love with video games. Like if it weren't for Mega Man X, I probably wouldn't play games. That game, like, I don't know, it unlocked something where I was like, oh my god, this is like the greatest thing I've ever touched in my life, and nothing will ever be better than this. Like it's so,
it's perfect.
It's just so perfect.
It's literally perfect.
Yeah, I have no complaints about the game. Yeah. Every aspect of it to me is perfect, and like playing it as like a 6-year-old, I guess, like however old I was when I first played it, I was just like, I couldn't stop. Like I played through it so many times. Like it's probably the game I've played the most in my life, like in terms of like start to finish, like over and over again. But yeah, like that introduced me to a medium, like a media outlet that it would be part of my life forever.
Exactly. Cherish this all day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like that game to me is like it's perfection. It's something that can't ever be replaced. It's something that introduced a whole new aspect to my life at a very young age.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Joe, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I got one actually. This is actually more of a good story. I like this. I don't get to tell this one a lot, so I like this one. I like the fact that I get to share this one. This is really cool. So, I think we've all heard of the stereotype that video games, especially back then, people always question like, what is the practicality of video games? What are kids getting anything out of it? I'll tell you one thing. It's never gotten me anything. I've never got anything out of video games to this day, except one thing. It's one thing. Okay, one story. Back when I was in 6th grade, Guitar Hero 3 came out. Okay, and man, boy, did me and my brother love that game. Right, just shredding on the guitar, like learning all these songs. Playing all these songs expert level. That's how much we played, right? And then one day, back in middle school, my middle school decides to hold this festival, I guess, or like little fundraising festival thing, where every all the students get to like organize like these little like contests and stuff. And one girl was the daughter of the Chicago Blackhawks coach, right? So she got So she got the entire team to sign a hat and a T-shirt, okay? And then as a prize for, you guessed it, Guitar Hero 3 competition, right? So
nice.
So the rule was everyone who participated had to play the same song on expert, and then the highest points would have a choice of either the hat or the shirt, and then the runner-up gets the second, right? So I'm going through the festival, right, having fun, and then I come upon this the contest, and I see they tell me the rules, and I see there's a kid already there. He's like waiting next to the prize, and he holds the top score, right? And you can tell this kid's like he like really wants it. He's been there all day making sure no one beats his score, okay? And he's like so confident. I was like, all right, let me take a crack at it. And I don't know why they chose such an easy song too. So I play it. Play this song on expert. I kill it. All right, get the number 1 score. I just look at the kid while I'm doing it too, and not even. I'm not even. I'm like, you see this? Not even looking at the screen.
Yeah. Not even looking at the screen.
I beat him. I beat him, and then I go like, hey kid, which one do you want? Right? And he's like, oh, I want the hat. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take the hat. No, I didn't actually do this, but I ended up taking the hat, even though I did know that he wanted the hat. So that was a little evil of me. I didn't say I didn't pull that in front of. That would have been awesome though. I wish I did. I know I should have. No, but I just remember feeling actually really bad because he was like, oh man. But I mean, he ended up getting the shirt, so it's okay. But anyway, the best part about that is that like the next year they that same team won the Stanley Cup, right? So like my Guitar Hero competition, my Guitar Hero video game days actually got me this hat, this merch that is actually super super valuable now, and I have Guitar Hero 3 to thank for. So nice. Yes, great memory, man, from a video game that's actually gotten me something positive.
That's awesome.
That's a great story. Yeah, I mean, there's very few.
I hope that kid still dreams about it to this day. Man, I hope he still sleeps.
He's on his own podcast right now, just talking trash about you.
Yeah. The best part was I came in last minute. It was a time frame, when how many people and I came at the last 2 contestants. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take this from this kid. Yeah, it felt good.
So everybody out there, remember, keep playing Guitar Hero because it might come in handy for getting a hat or a T-shirt at some point in your life. And that's our show. That's we're running out of time here, so want to wrap things up. But want to thank both you gentlemen for your lovely stories and being with me today on this lovely heartfelt episode.
Of course, man. Thanks for sharing, dude. That was actually a really great story.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, so, before we go, just remember you can, kind of check us out all over the place, YouTube, iTunes, all that fun stuff. You can check us out at Go Multiplayered, on Instagram. It's kind of mostly where we're at these days, but we also have a Twitter and Facebook that we post to as well sometimes. So, feel free to like and subscribe or whatever to all of those things. Follow whatever the kids are saying these days. I don't know. And you can find me at Zach Matzganis, at ZACKMATZGANIS on Instagram, Twitter, mostly on Instagram though. And I'm starting to post pictures of the game room, so you can check out
pictures.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just going to keep posting those. And I'm starting with the wide shots and kind of moving into. I'll eventually get to like tight shots of like different areas and highlighting like kind of. I've got some cool, interesting things on the wall here, so I'll kind of slowly go through all that. Hav, where can we find you?
At Jumpman_Ortiz or TZ on Instagram. It's usually where I'm posting all my stuff.
Great. And Joe?
You can listen to me ramble again on my other podcast, Broke English Majors, on Spotify, and I think we also have an Instagram page, but I think my buddy runs that one. So, yeah, you can find me there too.
And I'm going to force Joe, by force, physical harm, to make him post some things to the Instagram.
You're going to have to download the app for me. I still need to get it.
Come over. I'm gonna take your phone. I'm gonna make him do some stuff with, I guess, League of Legends. Is
the best, yeah. We want some League fans on our channel. I'll tell you that they're the best. They're just the best. All right.
Better you than me. But anyways, that is our show. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, listening in, watching, whatever it is you're doing. Obviously, we appreciate you. Review us on iTunes. That definitely helps us. Or like, tell your friends, your grandma, your cat. We obviously we do this out of love, but we would love to have people actually listening to the things that we're saying, because sometimes I think we say some interesting stuff.
just a few.
Hey man, I just like talking to you guys. I don't, that's at the end of the day, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you so much, everyone. Kahan, you're still fired, and we will see you all next time. And we love you.
We love you.
We love you so much. And toodaloo. Peace.